So after more than a year, I must have made quite a bit of progress in my challenges, right? Well, the answer may surprise you. This is James de Leon, and welcome back to my free-to-play Extreme Challenge. And this time, we're taking a look back at Fate Grand Order once more. If you don't know how this challenge works, it's like this. I am playing FGO without summoning, relying only on whatever the game gives me. Be it welfare servants, event CEs, and command codes, it's all kosher as long as I don't spend Saint Quartz. Maybe I should have just called this a no spending Saint Quartz challenge instead. Anyways, the only summons that will count will be the Force Tutorial summon, and I will be using what it gives me. And like I said in the beginning of the video, it's been over a year, so progress should be good, right? Unfortunately, no. For the longest time, I've just been chilling in Rome. Why, you may ask? Well, two reasons. Reason one is most of the events this year only required me to clear Fuyuki, which I have and leads into reason two. No real reason to make any progress. As much as I wanted to continue the story and see just how far I could take this challenge, that wasn't enough reason for me to continue. I would just log in and exit. Unless an event popped up, and then I was just farming it. Speaking of the events, I somehow farmed enough materials for Nero's costume, and because of Summer Da Vinci, I learned that Seed can't return with only just one Castoria. Outside of the events, there was also the 5-star servant exchange that I grabbed. And again, while I am technically summoning this 5-star, I'm not spending Saint Quartz on a chance to get one, so I'm going to allow it because I need the help. And whose help will I be getting? Well, I could have gone with Artoria because Saber, Mordred because of Tomboy Supremacy, or even Brad for her MP. Am I down bad? Absolutely. But instead I went with Jack. Mayhaps not the best pick to some, but to me, this was a very quick decision. you get it? Because she's the quickest sass. I'll stop now. For starters, she has a really good MP and quick star gen, so she can get her MP without much issue. Skill-wise, she's able to either help keep others alive with her heals, or keep herself alive if she is the last one standing. And her NP dealing bonus damage to female servants works really well in my favor. So here I am, a new 5-star, materials, welfare servants, craft essences, and no real reason to progress with the story. I just need one thing to really motivate me to just blow right through this story. Something like a welfare servant that I really want. Yeah, that'll do it. Now let's see how far I have to get for Lost Belt 3 intro. Oh, fuck. Well, after seeing how far I have to go, this definitely won't be easy, but not impossible. You know, until I get to the final singularity, but even then a Castoria support will go a long way. And speaking of which, at the time of working on this video, I'm close to a third of the way done with Camelot. So progress has been moving, as long as I remember to hit the skip button and not read the story just to cry again. After America, I couldn't really rely on Bunyan or Hercules to just hard carry through the story until the boss fight, so I really had to rely on my other servants, which would be easy if the fights consisted of only one class type. But no, they have to throw 2 or 3 class types just to make me think about who to bring. And why plan against each class type when I could just throw berserkers at the problem? But once I hit Camelot, my berserkers would sometimes not hit hard enough. especially when enemies start to have 50,000 or more HP. Well, Hercules can if he gets 2 Buster cards in, so can Bunyan with their NP and skills, but that still leaves either 1 out of 3 defeated with 2 more that can potentially knock out Hercules, or 2 more waves that Bunyan has to struggle against. So now the struggle comes down to if I can mentally play through the game when each battle will take at least 7 turns or go down to my last servant. But the real question is how hard these boss fights I originally struggled with will actually be. Because in my prior video, I said that America was going to be hard because of Ku Alter, but I was clearly mistaken with how I was able to beat him in at least 2 turns with Uriel and Summer U. I mean, Camelot is difficult just because of each Knight of the Round Table having a unique buff, but even those can be worked around as long as I remember which buff they have. So far, this challenge started off being a struggle and a half, only having a small handful of servants and CEs, but with the determination that I would eventually come back to make a second video on this, I have now a moderate handful of servants and CEs. Will I finish part 1 at least? Absolutely. Start and catch up in the Lost Spouts? Certainly. Will it be pretty? You bet your bottom dollar it won't. But if I can finish Babylonia in the span of 4 days, finish the Santa Altera event in the same day, then proceed to cry my way through the final singularity in 2 days, all off of the bare minimum of sleep, then I can easily do this. Is what I said when I first started working on this video, and as you can see by the date when I am uploading this, definitely not all that easy. Right now I am rushing through the last day of the Valentine's event, trying to get not only the bonds up for my servants, but also the event CE. But since this is after the El Malloy case files event, the question stands on whether I got gray or not. And the answer to that is no. As to how far I got, I'm currently in Babylonia, just about to fight Quetzalcoatl. So, less than a third and nowhere near my goal. And I'll be honest, thinking I could rush through to the final singularity and then clear the first 2 Lost Belt in 20 days with this challenge was very dumb. For one, I was way too confident about my chances with very little to back it up. And 2, I didn't consider that I might burn out after a while. Like I said earlier, my biggest issue is fights with more than 2 classes and my berserkers not doing enough damage. And that issue started back in Camelot. I can only imagine how much worse it's going to be by the time I get to the Lost Belts. So my experiences between my main account and this account are drastically different. In my main account, I have multiple options when it comes to farming materials or clearing the story and events, not to mention 4 or 5 different options when I just want to 3-turn any fight. This account, on the other hand, I have to rely on the same few strategies of either throw my berserkers at it, pray, seek, and loop his NP enough times, or just throw whatever I have at the fight. But the biggest issue is that I should have just kept playing through the story. Sure, I didn't have any particular reason to keep up until now, but if I had played through at least one story section a day or every couple of days until now, I probably would have gray and not have to rush like I did. But lesson learned, hopefully. Just stay on top of the story little by little, and I'll be ready for the next event. But until then, I've got my sights on at least beating the final singularity. So, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go mentally prepare for finishing up Babylonia and crying right after. And then mentally cry when I remember I still have the final singularity to beat as well. Why am I doing this to myself?